I'm gonna just bring us in because this is gonna be a lot to talk about. I don't want to waste too much time talking. You're listening to Post Cred Depression. My name's Mariah, and my fun fact is that I saw this TikTok on how to make paper stars, and I've been making paper stars every day. So if anybody wants a little origami paper stars, I'm like a pro at them. I watched one TikTok at Kaylee's, and I memorized it like that. My neuroversion brain was like
May I
paper
have
stars.
some of the variety of colors?
Yeah, I will. I will get different color paper. I'll
I
make
don't
you a
want
bunch of paper
neon.
stars.
I would
Okay,
prefer muted or pastel.
I got you.
Thank you. My fun fact is I'm going to Cancun.
What's
My
your name?
name is
Who are
Kayla.
you?
What's your name? What's your
I
name?
already
Who
said
are
it.
you? Say it
You
again.
didn't say your
I
name.
didn't hear you.
I did.
Say it
Playback.
again. Say it again.
I shall say it again. It is the second time I've listed my name. It's Kaylin.
Okay, what's your
Sometimes
fun fact?
Kayla doesn't say her name, and I'm like, one
I
day
already
we're gonna have a
said it.
special guest on the pod, and they're
You
gonna think it's
two.
Kaylin, but it's not.
You two. I said it backwards. I said I'm going to Cancun, and my name is Kaylin. And the fact that y'all made me repeat not only
We're
my name
ready.
but also
We are
my
ready to
fact.
jump on you.
No.
My name's Kinsey, and I just started a YouTube channel a few weeks ago, but just made
You
my
already
first.
used that one.
But just made my first video last night. Fuck you.
Oh, that's kind of a run-on fun fact.
Fuck you, Kaylin. Yours is kind of a boring fact.
Caitlin said, "Y'all jumped on me, so I'm ready."
I know.
Yeah, she said.
Yeah, I was actually supportive of the stars, but actually keep them.
All right, everyone. We
No,
should
I'm
say
gonna
what
give
our
you some
names
stars.
are. We should say what names we wrote today for the episode.
Yeah, we were all creative this time. We were all creative this week. Usually there's always one of us that either doesn't fit the theme. It's usually me, or one of us just aren't as creative.
One
First
of
of all,
us. Well, it's not.
before we say it, I
everyone.
need Kaylin to tell us what we were watching, because if you're listening in order, last week's episode said we were watching something different than what we are watching.
That is true. We put it off.
So please, Kaylin, share with us.
We changed our mind because our favorite anime of all time is
Because
Attack
Kinsey
on
recommended
Titan. Yeah, and we finished the finale, and I was like, that is a really good idea. Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way, and it's like a good timing for it. Also, just to let you guys know, this isn't necessarily just my episode, it's our episode, because like we've all claimed this fucking anime. So it is my episode, but also it's not. I will be saying my thoughts, and I want questions asked towards me too, please.
Kaylin gets the
it's
honor
Kaylin's
of
because she
presenting
brought it
the
to our
anime.
live.
Yes, she's
Yes,
the honor of
but it's not
presenting
mine
the
anymore.
anime.
It's all of our baby.
Yes.
So my name is and my man, thank you to my man, in parentheses,
The name
Levi.
in our recording thing, guys. Just to remind you, we get to name ourselves as we log in. So here we
Can
go.
you
tell
say
them
it again,
every week.
Mariah?
Yeah, it's and my man, thank you to my man, in parentheses, Levi. If Kinsey would like to sing it for me, she really hits the tone best.
And my man, thank you to my man, Levi.
I didn't even know it was supposed to be sung.
Yeah, it's a TikTok audio.
That's
Mine
funny.
is Jean still got Mikasa. A win's a win.
And you mispronounce that. It's Jean.
Oh,
Jean still got
I'm gonna
Mikasa.
start banging my head
Win's a win.
against the mic with Kaylin.
You know what? I'm aggressive. Mine is 4 years in the cabin smut.
It's all I've been thinking
If you
about.
know, you know.
Oh, wait, I got a TikTok just for that. Hold on.
Dang, I'm getting yelled at because I used my girlfriend's plate at work and didn't clean it. I'm getting yelled at.
You just kind of deserve that. I'd yell at you.
This is like the second or third time. I'll take the L.
Okay, I have been with this anime ever since it started airing in 2013, and it was literally like my little brother's favorite. Like literally, he would YouTube so much Attack on Titan stuff as much as he could find. And unfortunately, he passed away before season 2 like came out. But like, I'd like to think that like in a way he still can watch it. But I remember season 1 being great, but like I felt very confused after watching it. Like I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions. And so when season 2 came out many years later, because there was a huge hiatus, I was like, let me go ahead and watch it, like if anything, just watch it on behalf of him, because like I know he loved it. And it is the best show of all time. And then I met Kinsey. It was right after season 3 part 1 came out, and I caught her all up before season 3 part 2 came out. And then when season 4 part 1 came out, it was right around the time Mariah started like coming. Actually, a little bit before that. So we were rewatching the whole show before that season came out, and Mariah would come in, and the first episode she saw was season 2 when Aaron was being kidnapped by Reiner and stuff. But then what, Mariah? You want to take this part away? What got you hooked?
Yeah, what was it, Mariah?
Yeah, so I actually would see Kaylin watching this in the break room at work, and I did come in. I was like, "Look at her watching this anime," and I came in and I was like, "What's happening? Why is he kidnapped? What's happening? Why is he holding him like this?" All these questions because I didn't know what's happening, and I said, "You know what? I'm gonna let them watch their show. I just didn't want to be home. I wanted to be in the presence of my friends." And then I sat my butt down. The next episode began, and I see Sir Levi Ackerman himself
This was
flying through the
universal out of all the
streets.
episodes.
Flying through the streets, running away from Kenny himself on his ODM gear, and I was immediately hooked. I was like, "Who is that man?" And Kinsey looked at me and she said, "That's Levi Ackerman." And I said,
I said, "That's my
"I'm
man.
sad."
That's my man."
Out of all of the 70 something, 80 something episodes,
Honestly,
that one, like, that is like top one of. I mean, I know that the Beast Titan scene is probably a lot of people's tops, but like that animation though is probably top of Levi's.
yeah, I would agree.
I don't know.
Kinsey, do you have any words to share about discovering Attack on Titan?
Well, I was about to say, didn't you just watch the scene where he was busting up like with one leg at the end of the movie? Like that was
No.
really good.
I
No,
said
I
it's one of
still,
the tops. I
yeah,
still
I
think
would
the
say that
Rockaway
scene that I've
scene.
seen is one of the best.
Yeah,
Something
no.
about that animation of his body flying this way while the walls were this
The
way.
foreshortened with his foot kind of like
Yes,
coming at you
it
first.
was
Yeah.
good.
I
And
mean, I still agree with y'all. I'm just saying.
no,
It was really
emotionally, even some of the other scenes, like the Beast Titan ones, or even like the
good. The
finale.
Beast Side one got me fucked up.
I'm
But
saying
anyways,
animation, like purely
my
animation.
opinion about this show,
I
Kaylin.
didn't ask opinion. We were talking about introduction.
My opinion. I was trying to say like what my introduction to Attack on Titan, bro. Yeah, so my opinion about it. Okay, so you can suck my fucking dick. Anyways,
Sorry, I'm gonna just go.
you know what? Kaylin's just gonna be rowdy this whole episode. I've
I,
determined.
you know what, y'all? It's the
Yeah.
foreplay of all the banter. Like we left
I'm
because like,
sitting
I
here
was so
sophomore
tired from
year.
work, and y'all got me razzed.
I'm sitting here sophomore year, just existing. Kaylin and I actually were like just becoming friends at this time, and she shows me Attack on Titan. She says, "For real, dude, like we have to start with season 2."
And
I
your
was like,
ex was kind of dumb saying it sucked
I was
too, so
like,
you never like watched it when it was like when you were interested in it at first.
and I was like, what do you mean we gotta start with season 2? She's like, just fucking listen to me and watch it. I was like, okay. Little did she know, because Kaylin was like really stereotypical and like judgmental of me when we first met. She didn't know I was already a devoted anime watcher. I watched 700 episodes of Naruto. Like I would have watched season 1. I don't have Kaylin at the time would only watch short animes besides Attack on Titan. So she was
You know
trying to
what
shield
it was?
me. She was
You
trying
weren't
to
the
shield
first
me
friend
from the
I tried to
confusion.
show, and everyone would drop it in season 1. So it was not actually you. It was the fact that I had seen season 1 so many times trying to show people, and they would drop it before even episode 10, and I was like sick of it. So I was like, you know what? I know for sure if I show a friend season 2, they can't drop it. But
Yeah, so it started
that
with
was rude of
season
me. I
2.
agree, and I
It was
apologize.
really good. I was like, this is fucking crazy. And then I was like, okay, well, let's go back to season 1. So I had to like start all over basically. And I was like, luckily, I will say, I knew what was going on because of season 2. But I told Kaylin, I for sure, absolutely would have watched this show if you showed me season 1. I would have been so intrigued on what's going on. She was like, really? Are you sure? But whatever, yeah. It was a phenomenal show. It became, at the time, Kaylin and I's show where we watched season 3, part 2 together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always call it season 4 because it's like a green.
Yeah,
Disney show.
we watched all the way up. It was like right after Historia is aired, Queen, and
Yeah, and we were working at Cedar Point together, so we watched every new
week by
episode every
motherfucking
week.
week, girl. We watched it. We started the season on your iPad, and
I
we
know.
finished the season on your dad's humongous TV, which at the time the couch was so close, I felt like I was in the theater.
I know, that was literally amazing because my dad had a giant TV and we had a big ass couch. Kayla and I were like straight up vegging out on this couch as we were
Bro, I had
watching.
watched all of Attack on Titan on my phone, like mostly up until like when I had that experience at your dad's house that summer, and just your TV when you lived with me. Immediately junior year, I invested because TVs for some reason dropped significantly in price altogether. Like even in just recent years, they used to be like couldn't get a 50-inch without spending over $500-$600, but I got mine for $250. It's not the smartest TV, but it's smart enough to play anime and it's big. And I was like, you really got to just watch shit on a bigger screen. It's
You
beautiful.
do. But yeah, that was my intro to Attack on Titan. It became the love of my life when Kaylin showed me season 2, and I thought the storytelling was so good. I was in love with the characters, and now we're here
I think
where
it's so
I
funny
don't
though.
know
Like when
what
you
to
guys
do with
watched
my
it, I
life.
could see. I'm sorry.
Bro, I not only like I binged the fuck out of that show because you were already on season 3 and I said I'm going to watch the show and I started from the beginning and I
Oh yeah.
caught up to the end of season 3 part 2 by the time you were also on the last couple episodes of season 3 part 2.
I know this has been a very beautiful friendship, and it was funny because Mariah and I, like, Kinsey moved very far away, and we were struggling with getting a day where all of us were off very close after the finale, the very last movie part, season 3 part, or season 4 part 3 part 2, you know, whatever the fuck. Um, and Mariah and I both admitted to each other that we had considered, to avoid spoilers, watching it by ourselves, but how we both were just like, nope, it won't be the same if we don't watch it with our homies. Let me tell y'all, when we would watch it in the apartment, like all of season 4, I would hear the neighbors yelling over the Super Bowl because it was Sundays, and we were yelling over like Mikasa like killing scouts and shit, you
Bro,
know?
we watched the first episode at like 2 in the morning of season 4.
I know, but
Yeah,
we
we
were
did.
yelling, dude. We were
We were like,
hype
let's go
as
get
fuck.
some snacks and we were yelling.
It was
We were
crazy. I know.
yelling.
And something about it is bittersweet as like, you know, it wraps up and it's done, but like all good things like literally must come to an end. And I'd rather like the fact that this author is so successful, this anime, and chose to keep the story as he envisioned it and like end it instead of drag it on forever. There's nothing wrong with long animes. I've come to know Kinsey loves Naruto. I eventually actually want to give One Piece a chance, but like at the end of the day, I do like a beginning, middle, end story, and I feel like those episodes are kind of like arcs and episodes of the week, and so
Kaylin,
sometimes they can just
I'm gonna need you to use your words more wisely.
Yeah. We're at the beginning. Maybe we don't want to cry right now.
but do you see my point about like the fact that this story, it is beginning, middle, and like for example, One Piece, they might be saving like this town from this, you know, crazy dictator 1 week, and then the next week, you
Mhm.
know, they're like goofing off on a different island. It's not really, it's just like more shit's happening. And I'm not saying the arcs aren't cool or that they don't have beginning, middle, or ends, but like I'm happy Attack on Titan just was its thing. And
Bro,
it
every episode was always important. There was not ever an episode just to fuck around. And you're right. Like it had its purpose, it had its intention, and it kept my attention the
mhm.
entire time.
In the entire time. I love the word intention. And that's the thing is like he even said he was actually apologetic about the ending, which in my opinion, which we'll get to, flawless. It's a flawless story, beginning, middle, end. All of it is perfect. Um and he kept apologizing and the fans were like, don't apologize, dude. But he was apologizing because he's like, I know it's not what you guys wanted, but he's like, it's the ending that I sought out when I started writing the story. And he said, I thought of different ways to end it, but I couldn't deviate from the original point that I was trying to make, which, you know, was this whole looping thing and about, you know, hate and shit. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
No, I will agree. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stories that don't. It feels like when he started the story, he knew how he wanted it to end. He was like, I know my goals with this tale. And a lot of people either start with that intention and then they're like, well, it's going so good, let's stretch it out. Or somebody else pitches a new idea and they keep it going for
I feel
whatever
like a
reason,
lot of
whether it's the
authors
Boruto.
money.
don't know the ending.
Yeah. And I feel like he started this knowing what his purpose was, his ending was, and the point of the story was supposed to be.
Something that's been on my mind about like the entirety of Attack on Titan in the first place is like in the past when I would watch this with Kaylin, the amount of sadness that would come to me watching our characters suffer just to find out the truth, only to find out
Oh
that
my
they had to
god.
suffer 5 times harder knowing what was outside of those walls with the
Infinitely harder,
yeah,
honestly.
with the rumbling and all the things that happened with it. It makes me sad because they genuinely could have just lived the rest of their lives, like their human lives, not knowing and probably just enjoyed it for what it was. Like
Well, it would
yeah,
have still came to some sort of like conflict because the whole world still wanted them eradicated.
well yeah, I'm just saying like I feel like watching your friends die from somebody killing you wasn't going to be as painful compared to having to stop your friend from killing the entire world. You know,
Yeah.
like having to do it yourself compared to just having an external force do it to you. Still, both are incredibly upsetting. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It felt 10 times harder emotionally for me to watch them go
Mhm.
through more pain after finding out the truth outside the wall, and it made me want them not to have to know it.
Mhm. Mariah, you have anything you want to say? I didn't want to spend the whole episode talking. I wanted to give you some chances too. Sorry. 'Cause I could go on for a very long time.
No, I didn't have anything to go after what Kinsey had just said. We're
Okay,
good.
just
We're
feel free to cut
Gucci.
me off whenever, because I know I have a lot to say. Um, I think
Yeah.
it's interesting how the pain does change, like you said, and how originally it was like at the time in 2013, this was like right after, World War Z and all of those fucking zombie, The Walking Dead, like lots of zombie shit. So for me, seeing Attack on Titan, it was kind of this other numbing show where people are getting eaten, and it felt very apocalyptic because we didn't know there was life outside of the walls. We kind of thought the whole world was taken over, and the walls didn't make sense of how they were built. Like the mysteries too, just like I don't know how this man's mind works. He's got such a high IQ to make such intricate like loops and shit like that.
Was
But
this your first like intricate anime post? Like, I know you watched it younger, so like Inuyasha, and then what was the feeling between Inuyasha and Attack on Titan? Like, what anime were you watching in that time?
I was simultaneously watching Full Metal and Inuyasha, and then Attack on Titan came out, but then on hiatus it left. And I remember actually kind of struggling to find animes. I was like juggling a few, and oh my god, now it's just like I feel like anime quality has like gone up, like the
Yeah,
storytelling.
just because like I feel like the genre that Attack on Titan falls under, it's very rare to find. Like you said, it was like in the midst of this like zombie apocalypse esque theme. Like it's a whole world building that doesn't
Oh yeah,
exist in
there's
some
High
animes
School of the
from
Dead
that
that had
time.
came out at the time. Attack on Titan will change anime forever. Like the fact that it upped the bar so high, like I can't say, can't see
Yeah, I mean, no, the
it.
world building of Attack on Titan doesn't exist in a lot of anime like it does like in Attack on
Yeah,
Titan.
or the reality, like, because honestly, when I first watched season one, think of like think of a goofier anime where like the story's semi serious, but like a main character might get like kawaii kicked through like three walls and like get up perfectly fine, and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to get back to fighting. Like this
Yeah.
world had gravity. If you fell or your ODM gear ran out of gas, you're fucking dead. And
Uh,
something about like getting to know this world, it didn't feel like I was even watching a cartoon. It felt like real fucking people, and I've just noticed since Attack on Titan's like return from hiatus and we got season two, season three, and like Kinsey said, this unveiling of truths and pain from it and like all this other shit. I'm seeing higher quality shows come out. Like Jujutsu Kaisen, I haven't seen it yet, but the reviews look great. Um Demon Slayer,
it
like
has nothing on Attack on Titan. I don't care who anyone says. JJK has nothing on Attack on Titan.
but I would say that like the storytelling still just has a lot more of a serious, like adult, like
Oh yes,
real world shit to it. Like and even like for example, like I feel like Full Metal, well, I feel like the most adult thing from maybe some older generations might be Berserk. That one felt fairly grounded, but like, and has deep plot. Um but a lot of the anime at the time were like, Yu Yu Hakusho, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It just doesn't have this like terribly grounded reality. Like it's got
I
a little
think
bit of some
I think Attack
goofiness.
on Titan has such pure humanity to it.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. Like the deaths are real, the people are real, the way people think and act are real. You know what I'm saying? Like his storytelling, the reason why I feel so immersed in it is because it feels like real situations. I know Titans don't exist. I know all that stuff, but like
But
the
the
way he
empathy
gets
you have
yeah, the
for
way
it.
he gets into power dynamics with political systems, familial systems, like just good versus evil bullshit. Like he really goes into it with such a human touch, and he's just like, I mean, I remember just learning about Marley and being like, "Fuck Marley, bitch," and Caleb was like, "Slow down, you don't know anything," And when I didn't know anything, I didn't know because she was just telling me about the manga. And I was like, "Fuck those bitches, we're gonna kill all of them," and then and then I actually like walk into the Marleyan camp and like find out more about what kind of people there are, like Gabby and Falco and all these other fuckers,
Yeah.
Peak, and
Well,
it opened up such a new reality to me of like when you watch lots of animes or lots of shows and there's always good versus evil. I've always loved shows that make me empathize with the bad
yes.
guy, but Attack on Titan for the first time made me completely empathize with the antagonist and come to a conclusion that it's a misunderstanding,
It's just
miscommunication,
this loop of
a
hate that can't
a
really be
misuse
ended.
of power. Do you know what I'm saying? Like between two groups of people that want to survive and a cyclical nature of hate just feeding itself over and over again.
Yeah, like,
And
the
like
Yeah.
story
those
of Attack on Titan, you can minimize it to as simple of, like, 2 friends, like, or 2 acquaintances having a miscommunication, like, you can empathize with that in so many, like, degrees of how
Yeah,
the
because
story is being
there's
told.
characters that we see on both sides where like they don't want to be in this fight, but like they're trying to survive too, and it's definitely like war and commentary on that. Colin and I, we were just watching an episode, and it was when Gabby saves the blonde little girl that, you know, ended up hating her for killing Sasha. She wanted Gabby to die. She's like, you killed my big sister. And the blonde girl
shit.
is about to get eaten by one of the Titans that was in, you know, after the rumbling, you guys remember? And Gabby comes in, saves her with that gun. Which this is actually a scene. This is the first time I've rewatched it, so I was like reminded of the scene. And they all save her because the scouts were like, "Aren't you the one that killed Sasha? We're gonna arrest you." And they're like, "No, we're family. We're all family. Like she's good. You know, she's with us." And Colin's like, because the dad was like looking out for her. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna come along with us for now, but you go find Falco and run." And he's like, "Why is the dad helping? Didn't this girl kill her daughter?" And I'm like, "Did you miss the point?" I was like, "The dad does not see black and white. The dad understands that like
He doesn't see
Gabby
color.
was triggered like for being invaded. Her home was invaded, so it's like the loop will continue." And I just feel like Gabby's a really great character written in the show for showing that like the loop of hate being like stopped. You know, it did.
Yes, she's exactly what Aaron should have been. Like he should
Hmm.
have learned, but he didn't. And he was like, I'm just gonna kill everybody. You know?
Yeah. I mean, even the dad, it's like he said that Sasha went out into like his analogy was like the woods. He said the world is woods, and she wandered too far. Like basically saying like she kept going to war and kept fighting and killing people. So even though he's sad that his daughter died, he's like, you know, she went killing people and she got killed. You know, like
Ah, I'm sorry. That's so sad. Like, it's not that he doesn't care about his daughter dying, but like that's the reality of it. And I don't know. I feel like Isayama's so good at like showing the rawness. I feel like people are so easy to just go, "I'm good, you're
and you're
bad.
bad.
I'm gonna dehumanize you for the things that you're doing, even though technically we could be doing the exact same things to you, but because we're on our side, we're not gonna feel bad about it." You know?
Hmm.
And he's just like, she did enter a place where she was putting herself in danger. But he's like still proud of her. He's like, that's just the reality of it. Like animals die in the wild all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I also
I
want
think
to
it
talk
is
about.
like
Oh, sorry.
the like human like giving both like the way he gives both sides of the characters the personality, the emotions, and the understanding. Like he could have told this story and not gave us an understanding of how the other people thought or processed or he could have just told
Yeah,
us Aaron Mikasa Armin's story. But the
like
fact that he
other
went out of his
animes
way to
do.
really tell it, he was like, this is the truth. Like he made everyone human, not just the heroes and not just the protagonists.
And I think what
I think
makes actually both sides evil are the people in power and wanting more greeds. The Wall had those people, and the Marlians had those people, and the world had those people. And they use the people and the soldiers on a fear based, like pointing fingers like that, dehumanizing one another, and that's where you get war, really. Um, I also want to just mention that I know that this show gets hate for the fact that one of the power systems in the show is turning into monsters, or AKA like titans, and that the people of Ymir can turn into them. You know, I would argue I've seen lots of shows where transformation and turning into monsters or demons or literal devils like happen all the time, and that the show is still very important for like acknowledging differences or being afraid of one another, because like, you know, I don't think that that's what makes the show like it doesn't make it any bad. If anything, it like highlights parts of humanity where we like already point fingers at us for being different.
Yeah, I think the issue is like people, and I don't agree with their opinion about this. They're like, because these groups of people are being given armbands and then have the ability to turn into monsters, they're like, oh, it's anti Semitic because you're comparing Jewish people to monsters. And it's like, bro, right now we're in a fictional universe where these people happen to be able to turn into monsters, which, by the way, Ymir was able to control all of the Titans, okay, with the founding power. So those titans wouldn't be doing anything bad in this fictional world if the founding titan, whoever possesses it, would actually use their power for good. But we have all those politics on the side of the wall where the king doesn't want the people in
The
the island,
renounced of war.
like he didn't want the Eldians to know the truth about how they escaped that island, right? Like there's all these reasons why he doesn't choose to use the founding power to make sure that real life Titans don't kill people. Okay? But anyways, it's like it's not comparing those people to monsters. That's not what it's about. It's if you're looking at the principle of the story, it's saying that there's people who have differences. You could label anything as a difference. They could have a different skin
It's
color.
about
They
the
could
Yeah.
look different.
oppression because I mean the reality
Yes,
is
it's
that
about
like it doesn't just exist. This oppression does not only exist in the anti-set. What is the word? I can't say it.
Anti-Semitic.
an
Anti-Semitic.
anti-Semitic
Like
way.
like there's so many other forms of oppression that happen in our world now that we don't talk about. It's not just Hitler and Nazis.
Yeah.
Like there's so many other ones, and it is supposed to be just symbolic
Yeah.
of this oppression
Yes, yes,
I
it's
think
in a
that
just
to
saying
company.
that.
make commentary on, for example, the armbands, which, they are done in slightly a different shape to almost like fictionalize it, but it is in reference to real life shit that
Yeah,
happened
they had
today. And if
camps.
anything, it's commentary, like it's saying like these people were marginalized in the story, and like it's not us wanting that to happen in the like we're not reading it because we're happy that's happening. We're rooting for these characters to fight back, or at least like find safety, or you know what I mean. Like obviously, uh, we don't really necessarily approve of Aaron's decision entirely, but like, hey, they're all trying to survive, and it's war. So I
Yeah, I
just
think Isayama was really just
if you
using the
still kind of
power
have
of
that opinion, I feel like you
symbolism.
haven't watched the entire show.
I think Isayama was really just using the power of symbolism to show how fear can control mass groups of people. And when you put an armband on somebody and label them as a dangerous person or whatever, like it was shown in the show and in the manga, the lengths that people were willing to go to dehumanize these people and hurt
Yes.
them. So they could have been fucking bitches that just turned into birds, whatever the fuck. Like if they were being ostracized for whatever reason, there could have been no fictional power in this universe to turn into
Mhm.
a monster. And the whole point is that there's war between two groups of people. One bitch doesn't like the other one, so they're like oppressing, abusing, and torturing those groups of people. So when people
Mhm.
like cling onto that one freaking idea, I'm like,
Or
you
even if you've
clearly,
seen the show and you're still clinging on to it, you missed the point. The
yeah,
point Kinsey just said, the point that Mariah said, like it you just haven't read the show. Like if you're just like, for example, I could say that about like, I brought up the Joker a lot. It's like, oh, should the author to Batman and the Joker be ostracized because the Joker blew up at a hospital and killed a bunch of innocent people, because the author must believe in killing people in hospitals. Like no, he but wrote a villain,
no,
and that's what
well,
happened in the story. Is these people were dehumanized by a group of people that wanted to marginalize them.
yeah. And we're not sitting here saying we support Aaron's decisions or the fact that Marlians treated the Eldians the way that they did. That's not what we're saying, you
It
know?
is. It's just a really good story, fictional story that reflects the way that even real life hatred spreads around, and it's a
Yeah.
very real, raw story, and it makes you think. It really does make you think and empathize with like. There's no just black and white good or bad guys in those worlds. Besides greedy like people who are in power, like really, there's not.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was really glad to get that out of the way because I really just wanted to talk about that for a second. Do we
Mhm.
want to talk about like the final episode itself? Because I know we
Yeah.
could do future episodes season by season, but right now, what's relevant is this finale, this movie, and we are gonna have to talk about not just the second part, but the first part as well. And I believe we start out. Don't we start on like the boat where Armin and Annie are?
The second episode starts when Armin's falling out of the
Yeah.
thing
No,
and
I
they're
meant the first
landing.
one, the
Oh,
movie part A.
I haven't watched it since the first time we
Yeah,
watched
I
it.
think I think this episode should be more so tailored around the one we just watched. I think
Yeah,
that's what
and
it
if
should
we
be
have
around.
to if we
Hanji
have to
guy.
reference
We
something,
we
we can
we can
reference
always come
something.
back to the other seasons. I think in general, the first part was amping up the fact the rumbling already happened. Aaron did it. He got a Zeke to be able to do it. I think we can come back to that one and talk more about like the actual rumbling and how it affected everybody and how they got to stop him and stuff like that.
All right, Hanji, we'll talk about your part
I'm just
later.
saying, we don't have a lot of time in the episode, and we can always
Yeah.
do like a full in
All
depth.
right, blushing Armin and Annie, we'll come back later.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back later.
Yum. Okay. Damn.
Dude, I mean, if we wanted to review both of them, we would have probably had to start talking about it by this point.
Okay, so to set the scene, we have some like Annie's dad and Reiner's mom, and some of the people of Ymir, and some final Marleyan soldiers, and the rumbling is coming. They see it, and instead of fleeing, the last Marleyan soldiers are like, "Hey, we're gonna try our best, like balls blazing. We're gonna go and try give them everything we got because that's all we can do."
Everything
And
we got, aka like 3 missiles.
they blow up all the bimps. They blow up all the bimps, and they're like, "Oh no, all is lost." And then our boy Onyonkapon comes in on an airplane,
And
and everybody
Armini.
jumps out.
And then that's a really hot scene with Levi. He comes out of the plane.
Bro, straight up when they
And
jumped out of
Armin.
the plane and they did the whole watch this.
Bro, my blood was pumping.
Bro, like the rotation.
Yeah,
them
that
falling,
animation was
animated
top
very well.
tier.
Nobody got breaks during this second part at Mappa.
Bro,
Nobody
not
did.
Mappa. Mappa needed Nappa.
Mappa
I
needed
actually
Nappa.
read. I think I told Kaylin. I read a post saying that the author was literally begging Mappa, like, I know how hard this last animation fight scene is going to be. Please, I need you guys to give it your all. It was hard for me to draw, and I know it's gonna be hard to animate, but I will
He's
do
like,
anything
I didn't
to
yell
get
at
this
y'all
perfect.
at
He said-
season 4, part
He
1
said
when
that
y'all
he
made
will sit
Aaron.
down and learn how to animate if they don't figure it out.
I love that some of the fight scenes reminded me of season 1 and 2 shit, though. It really did. Like, ugh. So good.
Them bitches should have their retirement fund. I'm just saying. I think.
Did you
Yeah.
see the video with one of the Mappa animators? He had big, puffy, dark bags dragged. Like, it was so far down his face. It was honestly really sad.
I think the rest of them should have like all their finances fixed for the rest of their lives. Like, I can't imagine the amount of work.
Listen, their wrists are already gone, bro. Their drawing, their dominant hand is already gone, so you need to pay them for life.
You need to pay. They gave their lives, guys. They gave their lives to
They
that
gave
last
their hearts.
episode.
Dedicate your heart.
Queen Zeus to Sagayo.
Wait, is it your left hand or your right hand?
Well, if you're Erwin Smith, it's gonna be your left.
Your left.
Bro, I made fun of that.
But it's your
man.
right hand because your heart is like supposed to be more on the left. So you
would
put your
think
hand
that
over your
when
heart.
he died, they would have just gave him his arm back in heaven, but they said no.
Ah, bro. When you die, God goes, whatever imperfections you got, you stick with them.
I don't know, because then if I got bit in half, like Aaron's mom, does that mean I'm only half?
True, exactly.
I don't think so.
I think they could have gave him his arm, and I think they could have given Hanji her eye. But anyways, I was surprised.
Yeah, so they come out of the plane with this awesome fight scene.
And land on Aaron's
Is that where
back.
we were at?
Yeah. I was interested because I did not really read a lot of the chapters about like how, because I wanted to keep it a surprise. Like, how did it look like fighting on his back? Like, I knew they landed on his little bony ass back.
It looks so much better animated than the manga. And the thing is, you can only do so much with black and white, but when you put lighting in the mix and animation, anime is peak way to enjoy Attack on Titan.
I'd like to comment on Kinsey saying I wanted to keep it a surprise. Homegirl begged me to spoil the last like fucking chapter.
No, shut up. I already knew what would happen.
She just
at the
wanted
end
to,
of
like,
the
You
anime.
kept, so let me get this straight. You wanted everything to be a surprise except for the end.
Yeah, because imagine finding
Except
out
for
the
the end.
end.
Well,
Like,
that's basically all that happened. I just want to know, okay, what happened at the end? Because when the manga came out, I was gonna know. But I
There's
was like,
so
I'll
many
save the
memes
fight
online
scenes.
about the end.
Like, I didn't know anything
That
about
makes sense.
Armin being, snacked up by the Oinkapoi or whatever the fuck it is. I didn't know anything about. I didn't know anything about Miss Peak doing back tucks out of her
I
Titan
told
form.
y'all.
I didn't know nothing about.
Bro, we spent a year dogging on
Oh,
Peak
you know
for
what I
nothing.
missed? As someone who read the manga, I'm all of it, every page. I just was flying through it, I guess. I missed that Connie and Jean turn into Titans for a second.
Did y'all see Jean's Titan? People are saying making TikToks about how sexy his Titan is, and
Bro,
it just looks like
it
just looks like Jean with sharper eyes and more teeth, and he's like,
Let me look
like that's what his Titan looks like. I laughed.
Imagine, like, had I
Jean's
not
really
known
the
the ending,
crazy.
though, imagine how scary that moment is, because Jean and Connie hugged each other like they were going to die, because there's no coming back from being a pure Titan unless you eat a Titan person. So they sat there, they hugged each other, and they're like, let's go, buddy. Like that wasn't like we'll be right back. Like we knew that they'll be right back, but like they were going to die.
That'd be like me holding Kaylin or Mariah's hand
Yeah.
and knowing that we were about to die. Like
Like we're about to be Titans
But
for
they were
as long
so
as
at
it takes
peace
for one lane to
about
come
it, and
stomping
that's what
us.
was crazy.
I actually had an existential nightmare in the middle of the night 2 days ago about death and really processing it. And I'm not going to bring up that conversation right now, but I'm just saying tonight, I don't suggest it, but if you'd like, think about how it would feel to look into your friend's eyes moments before you die, knowing that you don't know what's on the other side. Yeah, it kept me up for 3 hours, and I didn't know. Like, I have to literally close that thought mentally to continue this conversation, because if I think about it too hard, I will pass out. I'll
You know,
pass out.
Quincy, let
Yes.
me tell you, I always tell you, anytime you need to vent or get it off your chest, you know, I always say, feel free, buddy. But this time, I want you to take it. I want you to bury it deep, deep,
I
deeper
want you to put it in
inside
a
the back
box,
of it.
and you can lock the box, toss the key, bury it deep, deep, deep in like
Deep,
the middle of
deep,
the
deep.
woods somewhere.
So this is a journey for myself. This
I'm just
is
kidding,
a
Yes.
bro. I'm just kidding.
this is
I'm
a
just kidding.
solo mission. I hope I make it out.
I did take a statement from my brother about the anime. He said,
She pulled out the paper.
Wait, watch this.
he
Listen,
said,
listen again.
Aaron was right. Aaron is
literally-
innocent.
He said,
No, I'm just kidding. He was just kidding when he said that.
"Are you sure?" I thought he meant it legitimately.
Nah, bro, he was
I was
kidding.
gonna have to like call someone for your brother.
I
Nah,
like.
yeah, he
You
said
know
he
what's
was kidding.
crazy
It was
is, like,
hilarious when he said it.
fictionally, Aaron was wrong. I don't agree with what he did. But when somebody asks me, like, "Oh, do you support Aaron?" I'm like, "That's my dude," and I stand behind him. But I don't actually mean it. Like, I don't actually mean
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
So-
let's
Me,
dive
it's
into
more
that. I mean,
like,
from Aaron's perspective, in this story
what
that
was
is
he supposed
Attack
to
on
do?
Titan, he
Yeah, if
felt
he
like
wanted to,
this was
if
the
he
only
wanted to keep
solution.
his
That this
friend's
was the
wife,
correct solution for him.
Yeah, and it's
for
not
him.
right by any means, but the point of the story too, because I'm not like I wouldn't make that fucking choice, but like watching either all of his loved ones in his home die or like others, it's like you just expect him to like stand aside and let y'all come kill him. Like I don't know, it was like that's war. It's like we're fighting each other, bro, homies. Like y'all all wanted to kill me, so I have to defend myself. But you know, it is genocide. It's kind of
Yeah,
big.
that's why
Lots of
I say
Yeah,
it
innocent.
in
and
more. I say it in more of a fictional sense. I'm like, that's my dude Aaron, but like I don't actually approve of his actions, and in the real world, I would never approve of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, even the truth is like his friends and family, his family was dead. His friends didn't necessarily agree with it. I mean, when you see him having those moments with Armin, like Armin looks at him like he's literally a like insane person. He's like,
Hmm.
there's got to be another way, and Aaron's like, I've seen every way, and it's not. There's nothing else that exists out there,
It's
and
interesting
it's
too
so
because Jean's
sad.
character, as I'm rewatching this part, I mean, you're right about that, but like Jean for a second was like, well, I guess we don't have anything to worry about. Like, you know, I guess you know the war is over, and he sat there, and the more he let it sit on himself, he's like, what Aaron's doing is fucking wrong. Like he at first he was like kind of thinking about self, like, well, we kind of did, you know. We were screwed if it wasn't for that. But then he's just like, this isn't fucking right. I can't stand by this. Even if
Yeah.
it means, you know, more war, even if it means that we don't win, like you
Well,
can't just
'cause
kill that many
even
innocent
if we're
people.
looking at this from this perspective, they are literally children with the weight of the world on their shoulders. Like
They're not
that
children
is
at
a
this
what
age.
17-year-old boy who's
That's
having to
child.
make the decision to decide
I think he's
about the
19.
whole world's future.
I think he's 19.
He's 19. That's still
Still
a
child
child.
though.
You don't know better. You're sitting here as a child who has no guidance in his life, who's been scared for his whole life about these titans that are being sent to kill you. And
Yeah.
you can't think clearly. He's sitting here
I
thinking,
think
all I
the
know is I
general
want this to stop and I want my friends and family to live.
I think the general had an awesome point when he said, all we did for years was throw our hate at these people, and now it's turned its ugly head back at us and sent it like 100 times over. And he had a great point. He said, we can't really be that mad about it. I'm not saying it's awesome. I'm not saying it's cool, but like we did that to them for how many of their people
Yeah.
did they kill over and over again? The Marlians were honestly living in peace except for the Eldians that lived with them for a long time. They were just up and using them Titan powers however they like. So they kind of got their karma, if you ask me. But like,
I mean,
For
you
like
can
no
even go all
purpose.
the
Like,
way
what
back.
was their goal long term wise? Like, if Aaron didn't do what he did, what was Marley's goal? To completely annihilate the Eldians, correct?
yeah, it was just to
Yeah.
kill everybody in the
And
island of paradise,
In
and
the
then to
walls, yeah.
use, and on top of it, the Marlians used the Titan power to upset other countries.
Yeah.
They literally
well,
used the same power that they ostracized for control.
Yeah,
Hear me
because
out.
the walls wasn't the last spot. There was many other civilizations that they would have been after next.
Yeah.
Hear me out. We're gonna go back 2,000 years. To Ymir's time when she was a slave, a child, her whole village was burned down. All the elderly were slaughtered. She was turned into a slave. Her tongue was cut out literally the same day she was kidnapped. Um, Not only like after she got her power, she was raped. She was used as a weapon for war. Do we think King Fritz is a great guy?
No.
No.
You remember who his enemy was? Marley. And so, who tried to assassinate King Fritz? A Marleyan soldier. And if you look at it from that perspective, because they used to be a tribe that turned into a kingdom, they were like these barbarians that went around and just fucking killed, raped, and, pillaged and cut people's tongues out, turned them into slaves. So, I'm not saying modern day Marley is in the right, but I could see where the root of hatred from Marley towards King Fritz and the people of Ymir started.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy when you look back at the roots on like how things escalated and how it created these two groups of people like doing bad things. There was
And it's a
obviously
greedy person who wanted to be in power and wanted control. It like always starts with that.
so it started off with back in the day, were the Marleyans more in power or was it King Fritz
At
himself even
King
before he
Fritz
had
was
Ymir's
a
power?
tribe when they started out. Think of like he's the leader, but it's more like a shit ton of bandits and a large
And
tribe.
and were they
Marley was
fighting
like Roman soldiers. They were a big army, and the only reason they got beat is because they were facing a fucking titan and they did not have any equipment to handle it. And then
uh
basically,
so
you
then
know,
Fritz went from being a tribe to a fucking kingdom by that point when he had the power of Ymir.
yeah.
So then the Marlians were like, "Look at this, bro! Out of nowhere, these
Yeah,
freaking
then
Titans."
obviously she dies 13 years after having the power. She had three daughters. They ate her. The powers multiplied into nine, which I had a theory for as that why that happened. I can't remember the second, but like then Marley got a hold of it, and then we had the Titan War. So, but I'm just saying, even though modern day Marley sucks and everyone hates, the Island of Parody, like when you really look at the history of like how shitty King Fritz was, I'm not saying the people of Ymir were shitty. I'm saying like the way that the Titan power was used to literally keep killing and pillaging. It's like, okay, well, we hate you, but then of course if you keep poking the bear for these people who are like, I didn't do that. Like I love that episode where Gabby is like roasting, you know, uh Kaya for all of the sins that the people of Ymir have committed. And she's like, I didn't do that. My mom didn't do that. So of course, like Aaron, he it's a retaliation,
Yeah.
but it's also a loop. I mean, we all know the whole story's a loop and it continues.
Yeah.
hmm I think the ending was literally so perfect because it's the principle of the theme that if is any more than one human being, there will always be war. And we were shown
There'll
that
always be conflict. Yeah.
even when the Titan powers were gone and there was only humans fighting each other with human technology, they still destroyed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because I feel like that's like it's almost like life and death. Like life will always exist, death will always exist. Like in this eternal cyclical nature,
Just like love will always exist, conflict will always exist.
Yeah.
And while people do like some people who do think that the fact that the people of Ymir can turn into titans is some sort of anti-Semitic commentary, I actually see it more of power. Like for example, in today real world, like not fiction, we have countries that literally hold such like the technological advancements when it comes to war, like it has gotten so scary big that if they all decided to push their buttons, the world can end, and that's the reality. And I
hmm
think that Isayama writing it fictionally with these giants, and someone got that power and someone decided to push that button and killed 80% of the world. It's just
It's
like,
literally Aaron. He has nukes basically. He's
yeah.
nuclear bombs. He went
And he
rumbling.
kind of even touches on that at the end with, like you said, the human on human war. Like it fucking went into like some post apocalyptic bullshit right at the very end with the little boy and his dog. But right before that, it was just bombs and shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think it's like to the extent, like even if like Kinsey said, even if it wasn't Titans, like this war will continue to exist. They would find a way to have conflict amongst people.
It's
hmm
because even though black and white about the sides, we can't look at the countries because there's people in the countries. It really is militaries and those who are in power, and You know, some militaries are formed to defend themselves from other militaries, but then innocent people on the other side get hurt and then feel like they have to villainize the other side. It's so like nuanced yet like complicated, explainable, like the hatred that certain people have amongst each other, but like it's a hatred that continues the loop, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Girl,
I'd like to backtrack to
Mikasa.
no, actually, I'd like to go a little further back and talk about Armin. Um, I know there's two
Oh yeah.
particular scenes with Armin that really hit home. I'm trying to remember the order they come in. Let's go with the Armin and Aaron scene.
Wait, what about Armin and Zeke? That one comes first.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I couldn't remember the order correctly.
Oh, you're good.
Let's start with the Armin and Zeke scene where they're talking in the paths.
I thought that was literally
Um,
so beautiful. It was one of my
yeah, I'm
favorite.
sure Kinsey could touch on it in better vocabulary than I could, but the whole concept of, and this isn't the first time I'm really reflecting on this phenomenon this year. Literally, we take it back 10 months ago when Kinsey made me listen to Hosier. I'm sitting here reminding myself how important the little things in life are. Literally, like I said in the Hosier episode, sitting in my basement, dicking around with Kinsey are some of the best moments of my life. And those are so minor to a grand scheme of a life. Like to some people, like me sitting here watching the new gay anime of the week with Kinsey is the time of my life. This is the best time of my life right here.
I'm
Even
famous.
though there's so many other things, like I haven't gotten married, had kids, got my own house, like so many things. And so sitting here watching Armin decide to just pick up this little leaf that to Zeke is a baseball, and we're sitting here like, to anyone who doesn't know, they're like, it's just a baseball.
It's
But
just
to
a leaf.
Zeke, that is such an amazing, fun, simple time of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for all of us, it like really was an emotional thing for them to
It's like
have that in
nothing
the midst
improves
of this
your life,
battle, in
just
the
the
midst
simple
of this
things.
death, to sit you back and remind you about how simple life could actually be.
Bro, can I make a comment about it? Bro. I really loved, like, I feel like all of us were like getting older and we're like having these realizations, like Maya said, with the watching anime with her in the basement. And like, it's weird because when you're in that moment, you're having fun and you're not recognizing how much it values to you. But like when I think about those memories of watching it with Mariah, only pure bliss, only happiness in those moments. I felt that way, and it's like when you look back and you're like, whoa, it actually meant even more to me than I knew in the moment, and it's very upsetting. But so with the Armin and Zeke conversation, like Zeke having this revelation that those are the reasons why we should keep living. Technically, the physical reason we should keep living is to reproduce so it keeps going. But the reason we should mentally, emotionally, and spiritually stay are those reasons. The absolute, like, unproductive moments that make no money, do no big change to tons of people but you and maybe another person. I don't know. And Zeke is like, oh my God, he has this completely different meaning of life. He completely rethinks, why he killed all those people and all that stuff because now he has a new appreciation for life. And he sees why those people sacrificed themselves when Erwin had his gang right up on the Beast Titan. And he's sitting out of that fucking skeleton naked as fuck. It looked like he was like, it reminded me of like I'm not religious, guys, but it reminded me of like biblical references of like Adam, like being like reborn, being the first man. Like I'm not saying Zeke's the first man. I'm just saying he looked reborn to me in that
Yes.
scene of
Yes.
like I know why I should appreciate life now, and
Hmm.
he saw everything so much differently, more beautifully, and appreciated those little moments. And
Bro,
then
man said, "Look at the sunset. I've never enjoyed this sunset so much."
yes,
Hey,
he never,
Levi.
yeah, he
I
never
guess I don't
enjoyed
get
the
what you serve me.
sunset that way because he didn't understand the concept
Pony
until
boy.
Armin told him. And then
Don't say that.
don't say what.
I said pony boy.
Oh, literally. And he's like, "Hey, Levi, I know you'd love to see me." And Levi was like, "My one mission." Like, but I kind of I hate Zeke, to be honest. I don't like his character. I love why he's in the story and what he like is supposed to be for the story, but I do genuinely not like that man, and the fact that it took him all his life to learn that lesson and had to kill hundreds of thousands of people to get
Yeah.
there really bothers me. So I was very happy when Levi
Don't
sliced
like him as
his
a
fucking head off.
person, but like I like him as like a necessary villain or even
Yes.
character in the show.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is so hard because there are villains that I'm like, I like that character, but Zeke is not a villain that I like. I like him for what he was meant to do.
I liked him for the plot. Like I loved how he was such a shitty villain. I was like, get him, Levi, get him. And I love how deathly afraid he was of that man. Because when you meet the Beast Titan and he's like this OP fucking man he seemed like a super super intelligent Titan because he was, and then Levi just sliced him up like easy peasy. I loved it, and I love that he was afraid of this little 5'2" man, or however tall he is.
Bro, man said everyone told me to keep an eye out for Levi. Who the fuck is Levi? His literally worst nightmare for the next 3 seasons.
I know. Literally, that man lived rent free in Zeke's head. In his little
God.
wheelchair, he said, "I'm coming for you."
Stay gold, pony boy. Stay gold.
That was I'm gonna start crying. That hurt, Caitlin.
I'm sorry. Well, okay. Before Armin and Aaron scene, there's actually Mikasa and Aaron in the cabin.
Okay, so we gotta hit on that. Before we
Actually,
get to that.
I think that's after this scene.
It's actually not.
Did
I think
did
it
you
is.
guys zoom in on the
On it.
poster? Did you guys zoom in on the poster of the cabin and they're kissing in the window?
No. Didn't know that.
I need you to send that to me. I'll tell you why, because Mikasa, it's like a headache, and then the scene cuts to the cabin in the woods thing. Then she kills Aaron, and right after Aaron dies, before Armin hugs his head and is screaming, it's the Armin fight, and they have that conversation. He's like, "See you in hell, buddy," and he comes and hugs. I remember.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I remember. Are we
Touch on it. I don't
Okay,
have any
Caleb,
comments.
why are you singing? We're here to talk.
I don't have any
I
comments for
said-
the Armin or Aaron and Mikasa scene.
Fuck you. That's so terrible.
Well, I mean, I obviously have commentary, but I know that you guys have more than I do
I don't know.
About what? About what? The cabin?
about the cabin scene.
Yeah, I'll just start it off. Okay. So, so my two babies are in love with each other, and I know it's weird because like the
I
things
feel like
that
I don't have a
happen-
right to start it off when I used to say, I think Aaron likes Historia. That's why I think I
Well,
can't
no,
start it off.
I got to start it off because Caitlin,
Ooh.
dead ass, her whole chest, we would yell at each other. She said, Aaron likes Historia. She gets pregnant by Aaron. And I have the glory to say in this moment that he did not. And that they were so hopelessly in love with each other. And that this was like a long ass romance filled with gore and death. But, anyways, I digress from being such a smart person. I get very sad with this anime thinking about how the conversations that he has with them, like in paths and in their brains and stuff like that, are real but not. Almost like how wind and air, you can't see it, but you can feel it, so you know it's there. Okay, you can't grab it. You know, like I mean, yeah, there's like steam and stuff, but I'm talking about regular air. Okay, like air in itself, you can't
Oxygen.
oxygen. You can't like show it. You know, and I feel like when I think about these memories or the way that past work and the way that Aaron just jumps into their little brain and gives them real life experiences, yet they're not actually real, it makes me think in that way, in the way that I think about like the wind and like oxygen and stuff. And so when I think about Mikasa having 4 years, this ain't no 4-day trip. Okay,
I've been with Colin for 2.5.
she had 4 years of memories of with this man making dinner, building their fucking cabin, fucking every night in that cabin. Like in detail, she has those memories. And to think
I haven't even known you guys for 4 years. That's how long that is.
I haven't gotten over a person that I would okay, I have now. But like there's been people I've dated for a long time that took me 4 years to get over them. So just imagine she had a 4-year relationship with this man and then had to cut his head off. What? Like that is
My
so
question is though, did
hard.
she remember that relationship prior to cutting his head off? Just like Armin
It is
didn't
weird
remember
the
it
way
until he
that
was
they
dead.
show it, because I feel like everybody got their memories back after the fact. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Connie got. So I feel like in the order of the way that the story needed to be shown, yes, but I just don't feel like it did.
I feel like because she was getting her headaches, maybe she was beginning to not maybe remember, but remember the feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a
So
That's what I
maybe
dream.
was
she didn't
thinking.
remember the actual detail, but the emotional feelings were coming back to her right before she had to kill him.
And then as soon as she cut his head off, like as soon as that bitch was
It floods.
sliced,
It floods back.
yeah, and she kissed his ass. You know what I'm saying? And even if you want to say like maybe she didn't know the memories right before she kissed him, she still has immense love for him. Like incredible love, tons of memories of years of being with him, even if she wasn't remembering the cabin memories in that moment. So I'm sure just like seeing him after so long of not seeing him, she was so excited to see him, even though it was moments before cutting his head off. So it's just like we were just talking about the cabin, but now we're talking about all the intricacies of like having to kill the person you love. Like that's very sad. But in general, the cabin is something that I'm so happy that Isayama at least gave us. Like Aaron might have died,
Yeah.
they might have not gotten married and had children, but at least they
He
had
already
some
is gonna
time
die
to
because
themselves.
of his, 13-year lifespan.
Yeah, I'm just happy they at least got 4 years. That's generous. That's actually really generous to give them time with one another. And those are memories that she can think about and maladaptive daydream about, you know? So
Yeah. Um, since Mariah brought in the Armin Zeke and you brought in that one, can I just bring it in? Y'all could obviously take it off after that. I just want to bring it in.
yeah.
Okay. So Armin, and Aaron have a bromance moment. Like they just, they really let it all out. And it was the orchestra with the whole scene, like waterworks. I get chills. Also, this is the only change that was noticed from manga to anime, at least by us, that in the manga at the end of their talk he says, go save humanity, and that is really dumb. That's a dumb, like, I feel like that's not something Armin would say. And the fact that Isayama works so closely with them on this, like, the entire show, but especially this like finale, to change it to "see you in hell, buddy." Like, Armin's whole thing has always been like, to Annie, he's been like, "I'm not a good person, Annie. You keep calling me a good person. I'm not a good person. Like, just because Annie has killed like maybe tons of innocent people in a certain way, and maybe Armin hasn't as much. I feel like Armin's still. I mean, with him being like a nuke in himself, he probably maybe has. He's like, I'm not a good person, Annie. Just because you feel like you are because you killed people or you killed my people first. I'm a bad person too. I kill people, and I think he's looking at Aaron's atrocities as in, who am I to judge? And I'll see you in hell, buddy. Like, it's this. We both did really fucked up things, but I still love you. I still love you, and I still care about you. And like, just their moment too, like they got to see all the sights that they dreamed about seeing as a child. They saw the fire lakes, they saw the snow, they saw, they got to have that seashell moment. Was also sweet. I feel like it's not like the 4 years in the cabin, but like they got to go in these like this sightseeing moment to see the things that they've always dreamed of seeing. And their goodbyes were just so, like, if I felt like I was watching two real friends have to say
Bitch,
goodbye to
I
each other.
can't let go of anything. I can I'm clearly a fixed rising sign. I have all this mutable in my chart. I love to change. No, I don't. No, I don't. Because that is the thing I can't get over is letting go of those people you love. Honestly, I know Aaron was crazy. I know he shouldn't have done that genocide and all that stuff. I'm just saying the fact that he knew he had to do it anyways. And he even cried. He cried his ass off to Armin saying, "I don't want to go. I love you guys. Like I don't want to go." And like
Oh,
I know why it had
he
to
tried to go
happen.
out tough. He's like, yeah, she can move on or
Like I
whatever.
know
And he
why it
punched
had
him.
to
He's like,
happen.
I know that ain't you, friend. Tell me how you really feel.
Well, he didn't. Aaron didn't say like I know she has to move on. He actually he wasn't saying anything. Armin was being the manipulator that he is, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, after you die, Mikasa can finally get over your ass and actually have somebody and be happy with them." And he was like, and Aaron was like, "No, please no."
I love
Because
that Armin knows what works with people too.
in my brain, I don't care what happened to this anime. Aaron's still alive. He's happy with them. They enjoyed the rest of their lives together. That is what I've told myself because it genuinely makes my heart clutch. Like
Oh, you know what I've
I
decided to
feel
tell
like I
myself?
have a heart attack when I think about Mikasa and Armin living 60 more years of their lives without that man. I can't do it. I won't allow myself to.
I'll tell you my headcanon, Kinsey.
Yeah.
I've decided that Attack on Titan universe isn't actually Attack on Titan. It's actually like a modern day thing. I saw people make artwork of all of the characters on red carpets and like doing some behind the scenes shit, and it was all just a big movie, and they're all still happy and alive. And it's like Armin, Mikasa, Aaron, all in their beautiful like Met Gala clothes, like they're famous and
But
successful.
do they still have the same feelings for one
Yeah, they're still they're still real people. It's like Tom Holland and Zendaya. We're great. We're doing great. They're all best friends.
another?
God.
Also, there's the it's like kind of an alternate universe, but I think it's like technically same universe where there's the high school versions of all their like his story's a cheerleader, Reiner's a jock, Mikasa's a goth, Armin's a nerd, so there is that
John
universe too.
smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all believe in that universe and just pretend that Attack on Titan was a fun movie, a fun movie, and they're all still alive and well.
I feel
Yeah.
the most bad for Mikasa in
Wait,
this entire
before we
thing.
get too far from the Arm and Aaron conversation,
Oh, yes.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah, I want to hear. What do you guys say?
Something about that scene. One, my brother did say he teared up at this scene, everyone. The tourist man who doesn't cry. Something about this scene felt like a stamp on an envelope. Like it was like more of the end than like the actual ending was. Like it felt like that was something where they were really wrapping things up for me. Like I'm sitting here enjoying this anime with you two. I'm like crying, laughing, freaking out at Levi, but something about this scene felt like it pulled me back to earth and I was
It was
like,
my goodbye to the
holy
story.
shit. This really is this is really ending. Like this is really happening.
The only other
Armin
time
and
I'll feel
Aaron.
that is if we're on a plane and the plane is going down. Like I'm not talking about like a safety landing, like straight vertically down into a mountain, and I would hold both of your hands. Like that. That's the only way I
That's
can
how it
equate that
felt.
feeling.
It felt like so gut wrenching to see them two like really talk about it. I'm like, this anime is ending right here, right now, and they're having this moment where like it was a goodbye for Aaron. This was Aaron's sign off for both of them, like saying goodbye because he knew he wasn't going to be back in his form after this, and it
This is
felt
my last
so
episode. I'm
heavy
resigning from the podcast in life.
on my
Goodbye.
chest to see them interact in that way. Like Caitlin said, they were going to all these places and seeing all these things and talking about real life. Like that hurt to see them talking about the reality of what was about to happen next.
I mean, just imagine sitting in a room with all three of us. I don't know what imminent thing was about to kill us in the next 5 minutes, but being like, this will not be the same in the next 10 minutes. I won't be
Yeah.
here. And
You
like,
know, I
it
oh,
upsets me. It makes it like watching it. You're so right, Mariah. It felt like the end, and that's why I got so emotional in that moment because after that little flashback was over, and Aaron was back to being his, long hair, don't
It was like a
care.
boom, 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 boom.
actually
I
he
didn't
was dead
even
at that
think.
moment.
Hold on, Kaylin. I didn't even think I was looking at Aaron in that moment. The Aaron that I was just looking at in the conversation with Armin, right when the scene ended, I felt like he was already dead. That like I was like, bam, that's the ending.
Yep.
And I know they hadn't cut his head off yet, but when they were fighting him, I was like, that's the last time they'll have an interaction. That's the last time cool Aaron will be around. Like it's over, you know?
Yeah. Gosh, what was I gonna say? Oh God. Wait, what did you? What was your point, Mariah? You're about life
Bro,
and
it was like reading someone's
oh,
suicide note.
I was gonna say an equivalent scene that I wasn't as deep about because it's not like characters we knew for a very long time.
I'd like to comment. So after Aaron's dead, we see Ymir. I think this was a very big moment. I know it was a small moment in the hour and a half that we watch, but like for the storyline, it was a big moment for Mikasa to stand there with Aaron's head and to see Ymir standing in front of her.
Yep.
After we watched this movie, I literally the first thing I tweeted about was fuck Ymir. I think I said I'll never be the same without Attack on Titan. Like besides my emotions about it, when I made my first commentary about what was even in the movie, I said fuck
Yeah, you did.
Ymir. I don't give a fuck. It's your fault you were hung up over a dusty motherfucker. It's your fault. I can't. I mean, I feel bad for the bitch. Don't get me
I
wrong.
feel like it's definitely mental. I mean, she had her literal tongue cut
No, no, no,
out
no,
as a
no.
child.
I'm not saying she hadn't gone through a lot. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
why did this girl require seeing an example of someone letting someone else go, basically putting other people through trauma that they didn't need to go through when
It's all she ever knew.
that's your own trauma, girl. Like heal
It took
from it
Aaron.
yourself.
It took Aaron holding her. She was about to obey Zeke. It took Aaron literally telling her, "You've been waiting for someone to come and like tell you have a choice. This is your choice, Ymir." And she literally like it was the first time you get to see her eyes because Before that, she had no eyes because she just didn't have her own identity at all. And the only identity she was ever given was bestowed was being a slave. It's all she ever knew for thousands of years in the past. And I get what you're saying. Yeah, like it seems simple enough, but like all she ever knew from a child. She was literally like raped and shit too.
I mean, the truth is she was brainwashed. I mean, when I look at why Ymir did what she did, it wasn't even that Ymir did it because she wanted to. The bitch was just straight up like abused her entire life. All so the fact that she needed to see somebody make that decision because she couldn't do it, I get the point. It just bothers me that like people had to pay with their lives for her to be able to be like, maybe I shouldn't listen to King Fritz. You know?
Hmm.
It just bothers me. I'm like, did people really have to die for you to just learn that lesson? Like, did they? Because
I
you're
kind
just
of like out of curiosity, I would love to get an episode or an OVA with the in between time of when Ymir first gained the power of the Titans, because at the time she was being chased,
I want to
and
know so
and
bad.
and in between the time of her getting the Titan and them accepting her as like, hey, you're gonna be our weapon, like because how did they get over that? Like she turned into a fucking giant, and I'm sure she had that like unconscious moment after where she.
I think it's just because she was a kid. Like, she was a kid that was treated like a slave, and then the moment she's getting recognition for something, she
No,
can't.
I know that, but I'm saying how'd they get over her turning into a giant? You know what I mean? Like I wonder how they're like, we could use
I don't
this.
think they necessarily got over it. I think they saw an opportunity, regardless of being able to understand it or not, and said, we got to lock this down. We got to lock this down. And as soon as we get control over it, we can try to understand it a little bit more. You know? Like,
Hmm.
you know?
By the way, isn't it interesting that this all started like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the butterfly theory or the butterfly effect, but like this all started this whole story with a pig that was let out of its pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
And so it makes you wonder, like, how does the next cycle start? Like, what triggers this
It
next
kind of
Titan-esque
shows the boy and
story?
his dog.
Yeah, I know, but like, it's not that's not traumatic like Ymir's story.
Well, we don't know
Well,
what
we
his
don't know his
story is.
backstory.
It
That's
could
what
be
I'm saying.
crazy.
I want to know what it is.
Oh, yeah. That is true. Like, why is he a boy? Where are his parents? You know, who's
What
his
does he have
dog?
connection to the world that's in right now? Like, there obviously a war just ended. What is his connection to this next story that's starting?
Yeah.
So
Because I would imagine this cycle of Titans, not every story has to be the tragedy that Ymir faced. I'm sure every cycle starts differently, whether it's an extreme tragedy, something minor, or what.
I actually saw a Twitter thread that the story is not actually even about Titans themselves. They said that the power that was given to Ymir to make Titans
Yeah.
is actually a completely different separate entity. So basically whoever falls into the tree and gets this power basically manifests it themselves in whatever way their subconscious
You see, I
wants
had
it.
that feeling that it was still just the story of war and conflict. It didn't have to be necessarily Titans. It had to be
Yeah.
some sort of thing that meets this new generation's version of this war
Of
and conflict.
power. Yes.
Yes.
So whatever happens to that kid when he falls in that tree or something, I know it's just supposed to be open ended for a reason, but I'm always like thinking like, wow, like what would it be this time? Would Titans come back or would it I don't think they would. I think it'd be something
No, they
else.
seem like too futuristic of a world for something like Titans to exist.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a futuristic world with Titans, though. You know, like that bio, phenomenon mixed with technology.
Yeah. Anything. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty
Have you
cool.
guys ever seen The Road?
The
The one
road.
outside my house.
Oh my god, it's a movie.
That's
Um,
funny.
I'm pretty sure it's the film I'm remembering, but we'll have to watch it one day. It's a very interesting because like the ending of Attack on Titan gives me the Road vibes because basically it's apocalyptic, end of the world. No sci-fi to it really though. Like no zombies, no nothing crazy. You don't really know how the world ended, and there's literal like I think it's like a ton of pollution you can tell and shit like that, and not a lot of food. And there's like literal cannibals in it, like where they hunt other humans because like there's nothing like the only threats are other people or stealing each other's food. It's like really crazy. But I think it's crazy that it's a movie that like there's no titans, there's no zombies, there's nothing like crazy like that. It's just the threat of one another.
Well, I want to make a small comment. Um, remember when we played that horror game because we thought it looked like Attack on Titan? No, not Attack on Titan. Little
Little
Nightmares.
Nightmares.
Yes. Yes.
That game wasn't that scary. It was actually the vibe of the game that made me feel more scary, which was, like, the
Yes.
emptiness and the grayness and, like, the lack of community, like, the isolation of it all, like, everything was so I felt like anything was gonna come out of the shadows and kill me at any moment.
It felt very uncanny and, like, unknown more than Little Nightmares. Like, Little Nightmares, you, like,
Mhm.
understood your path and story. With this guy, we were like, "We
I
don't
will
even know what's
say,
happening."
second Little Nightmares gave more of the vibe that I'm describing with this other game, like, the environment, like, it
Yeah.
gave very much, like, and we know why for this reason of that story, but, like,
Yeah.
Maybe,
um
like, the little boy comes from a world like that, though, where, like,
that's what
I
I'm
don't know,
saying.
it's post-apocalyptic. That's why I brought up the road. I'm like, maybe it's, like, something post-apocalyptic. It doesn't have to be zombies or nothing, but, like, he could still be in threat and in danger, and people could still be at
Yeah.
war.
Mhm.
This is crazy, man.
I'm sorry, this show just, like, really gets me existential, and I know that's a solo mission, so, like, I'm
Um,
just, like, keeping it to myself.
we could wrap it up with talking about, like, like, where things ended up. Are there any parts that you guys wish you could have seen more
Oh,
of?
yeah. I strongly stand by I wish I would have saw some sort of, like, Armin and them getting back to paradise. I wanted to know what the
I wanna see
reaction
more
was
of him
from
and
people
Annie,
in
yeah.
the wall of, like, "Hey, it's over," and, like, "We stopped it," and then, like, them getting congratulated or whatever, and, like, just something where I felt like they got to tell their people their story.
Yeah, because I still feel like my heart and my brain is still hung up over the fact that, like, the island is celebrating and they still hate the rest of the world. And, first of all, Mikasa, Arm, and all of them killed tons of scouts. And they've already overthrown the military ones. What makes them want to listen to Historia if, like, these criminals came back? I don't know. I wish you're right. Like, I wish I had a closure with that because I still feel really scared in my heart for them. I feel like the Levi ending, personally, for me, I like that it was simple, but it personally just wasn't enough.
It
It made
wasn't.
me
I understood what they were doing. They were trying to show him the symbolic of him being this little boy from the underground who has nothing, giving back to because like I think he's almost like I'm seeing him as like this person that stayed back in what's it called?
Marley?
With the Marleys to help them rebuild because that is what Levi wanted as a small person was to give to people who didn't have much. I understood that, but I felt like for how big they made that character to now, it should have been something more. I feel like he just deserved a little more of straightforward explanations of his
maybe, like,
character
one more
growth.
scene after that where, like, I don't know, he's got a tea shop. That'd be cool.
Yeah, just something to show this man finally getting able to feel like he's accomplished life.
Mhm.
That
I mean,
that
I
Sorry, I
listen,
die for that man, everyone.
they
he
did
lost
really good with
everything.
the ghost scene, like, of his, like, comrades. They did really good with that. I feel like Gabby and Falco had the cutest ending. They got to end up together, and they were planting trees. And then, oh my god, the fucking Mikasa scene with the
I'll
bird.
never
About to die.
recover. Also, don't know if you guys saw this. I watched a little video that you know how it does a time lapse of after Aaron died of his a tombstone, like before you see like the giant rockets destroying the new
Mhm.
city. It does a time lapse of all the 4 seasons 10 times, right? Before Mikasa shows up with whoever the fuck she's with. So Aaron said, I want her to at least pine after me for 10 years. So there's 10 years that go by before you see her with another man.
Oh my god. She really didn't jump in it with Jean. He gave her
She really
his
said,
he
you
you know
know
what,
what
Jean
10 years,
waited. He
my
said
love?
he waited. He said, I'll wait for you. Also, I already told you guys about this over text, but all of the like bargaining where we see them all running to the tree, and even the story that Armin told about how Aaron was always ahead, Mikasa always let him, win, and how Armin always lagged behind. They died in that order. Aaron made it to the tree first, then Mikasa died. Her tombstone was next, and Armin was visiting their grave.
I
I
could die.
know. I know. That's so sad. Oh my god. I don't know what I would. Ah! I feel like, why do I watch anime? Oh, because I like experiencing things that I haven't experienced yet, but then it makes me aware that I'll probably have to experience those things at some point, and, like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I
Yeah,
like that feeling.
honestly,
I don't
I'm
think I
not.
can be friends with Kinsey because she gets really in my brain and I don't like it scary how she talks.
It's because I have a Scorpio 4th house. I'm like, "Cut to the fuck. Get to the point."
My Scorpio 12th house really be putting that shit in the freezer for me to have later.
The reason
Yeah,
I
we
was
can't
born
all.
the reason I was born was to run up to this tree. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
god, it's time for Ripley's
Oh my
medicine.
god. Oh my god. It's time for Ripley's medicine.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's the end of the
Okay, so
podcast.
Kayla's not gonna be here for the next episode, guys. We'll talk about that more later. Kinsey, what do you want to talk about when it's just you and I next week?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind about something that Brian and I only watch or look at is Midnight Poppyland, so we could review that. We could just talk about how much we like Tora. But what are
Yeah.
your options? What do you think?
You know, we can brainstorm and just surprise our audience.
Why don't we just leave it as a surprise? And it's like it will involve some sort of character that is dark
it
and
better not be
gloomy
something
and
I want
hot.
to talk about.
Someone dark and gloomy and hot. All right, it will
Got it.
include that.
I got some ideas turned in my head. I'll shoot you some texts.
Okay, shoot me the
Man.
text right now.
This is when the cancer kicks in and I feel left out when
Well, I
this
don't
is
know
all
for
part of
sure.
my
'Cause
plan.
I'm trying to think like. Hold on.
Candace said it's all a part of my plan.
Because you want to work on our business cards afterwards, we can still stay on the phone and I'll work on
Yeah,
the
but I
question
need
and reduce my
to. I
sketches.
need to like a bigger tarot reading. So,
From who?
She just wants one of us to give her a tarot reading. That's what she's implying.
let's see here. What did
So
Mariah
basically,
say?
Well,
Caitlin,
if
she
it's
will stay
not
on the
me, then
phone.
it's probably
We
you, Mariah.
could
She
do
will stay on the
that.
phone with you, but you have to give her a
Mariah,
tarot card reading
we
first.
should do that.
Yeah, I'll straight up rewatch.
Yeah, I'll straight up
What are y'all
rewatch.
doing?